All right, when using, this is called special cases and it's in your yellow journal, trigonometry. When using the Pythagorean theorem, you usually start with two sides of a right triangle and find the third side. So you have to know two sides in order to use the Pythagorean theorem. And it only works for right triangles. So we're going to look at some special cases of right triangles. So in special cases, you can actually start with only one side of the right triangle and find the other two sides. Okay, so there are two kinds of special cases. The first one, we're going to look at an equilateral triangle and take half of it to look at what this is we're going to see what this is actually. If this is x right here, and this is an equilateral triangle, then this is actually cutting this in half. So this is x over here. So that means that these sides are 2x. X plus x is 2x. And this side is 2x. Now all three sides are the same length. We can also do the same thing with the angles. If this is an equilateral triangle, then all the angles are the same and they all add up to 180. So we could take 180 and divide it by 3 and get 60 degrees for each angle. And so this entire angle right here is 60 degrees, but this actually cuts it in half just like it cuts the side in half. So this half of 60 is 30. And this other side is 30 also. And so what we end up with is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. 30 degrees, 60 degrees, and 90 degrees. What we're going to do is find this third side using the Pythagorean theorem. So what we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I'll write that down. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. And I'm going to call a x. So x squared plus, and we don't know what that is, so I'm going to call it b squared equals 2x squared. And then we're going to go ahead and square 2x squared. 2x times 2x would be 4x squared. Subtract x squared from both sides. We got b squared equals 3x squared. And then to get b by itself, we'll do the square root. And so we have b equals, and the square root of x squared is x, so we can bring an x outside. There's a pair of x's here. And then we leave the 3 inside. And so that's how we end up with x square root of 3. So if you remember from geometry, this is x. The short side is always x of a 30, 60, 90 triangle. And then 2x is always the hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse is always twice as big as the short side. And then the third leg, or the other leg, is x square root of 3. We're going to use this to help us solve these down here. So what first thing you want to do in a 30, 60, 90 triangle, and this is obviously 30, and that's 90, so this has to be 60 degrees, is label your sides. And so we're going to label the short side x. We're going to label the longest side, the hypotenuse, 2x, because it's twice as big. And then the other leg will be x square roots of 3. Okay, then we're going to set, since this has an 8 here, and we know this side, we're going to set x equal to 8. Because this side equals x and 8. So then we can find side C. Side C is going to be 2 times x, and if x is 8, then that would be 2 times 8, which is 16. They're both centimeters. And then we can find side B. Side B would be equal to x times the square root of 3, and since x is 8, we'll put 8 in place of x. And we'll do 8 times the square root of 3, and we can go ahead and find the decimal for that. 8 square roots of 3. So that would be 13.86. Okay, then we do the same thing for number 2. It's 30, 60, 90. Again, if that's 60 and that's 90, this has to be 30. Okay, so the short side is across from the 30, so this is x. The hypotenuse is 2x. And the longer leg is x square root of 3. Okay, so the side that we know is the hypotenuse, so we can set 2x equal to 10. So 2x equals 10, and then divide by 2, so x equals 5. Okay, so then once we know x, we can find everything else. A is just equal to x, so a equals 5. And then b is equal to x square root of 3, so we'll just put a 5 in place of the x, it'll be 5 square root of 3. And then we'll find that on the calculator. 8.66. This is inches. Okay, then we're going to find the missing sides on this one. This is still a 60, 30, 90, or 30, 60, 90. And x is our short side. It's the cross from the 30. The hypotenuse is 2x. The longer leg is x square root of 3. Okay, so now this time we know the longer leg. So we're going to set 9 equal to x square root of 3. And then we want to find x. So we've got to get rid of the square root of 3. And the square root of 3 is being multiplied with the x. So we're going to divide by square root of 3. And so x is going to equal 9 divided by square root of 3. 5.20. We'll run that to 5.2. Okay, so if x is 5.2, then we can find a, that's 5.2, and then we can find c, which would be 2 times 5.2, and that would equal 10.4. And this doesn't have units, it just says UN, and that's just talking about units. So it's 10.4 units.